hello friends, I am at least projecting the Christmas spirit for a project roundup video. I think in my last video or two I teased that my sewing was not exactly going according to plan for my past few projects, so I did not film or edit them, etc. And that pretty much put me on a 1 month quilting spree, so I thought that I might just show you a little sampling of what I have done over the past month or so. And just because December, 'tis the season, a lot of them are Christmas presents, might as well make it Christmas themed. So I think the only like apparel sewing gift that I'm giving this year, I am going to have to give you a little flashbacky clip because I actually already gave it to Demi. It was kind of a modification of the same simplicity pattern by Gertie that I used to make the Barbie dress. To make this dress, I did dive into my stash for a pair of thrifted curtains that's kind of just in like a black and brown neutral because Demi is very into the neutrals. And while I wouldn't necessarily say that making a dress out of curtains is the most comfortable fabric, Demi does rock a lot of like the turtleneck top with the leggings and like the high boots look with maybe a dress over it. The potential scratchiness of the fabric is a non-issue. This is the same simplicity pattern that I used for my Barbie dress because this is using some thrifted curtains that were in my fabric for a few years. They came with this tie, you know, to tie the curtains back, so I went ahead and extended this shoulder strap a little bit because the original shoulder strap was only like yay big, so we extended it over. So one benefit of using the curtain ties instead of a thin little spaghetti strap is, first of all, so we don't have to like mess around with that plastic wear, but you don't have to put on a little individual bow on each side. You don't have to sew one on. It can be adjustable with this big, beautiful bow at the shoulders, and the wide strap gives it a little bit more support as well. Demi is a little bit more endowed than me, so to kind of try to make it a little bit adjustable, I went ahead and cut out the size large, but instead of doing the darts in the back, you might be able to see this. There's some elastic that is shirring it closed. So this is a bit of a closer look. As you can see, no darts, just the elastic shirring in the back. So hopefully that will cinch in and, you know, allow you to eat some yummy Thanksgiving food and not feel constricted along the waist. Here it is from the front with the little bows, and yay. So that dress was given to Demi at game night in October. Not too long after that, I did finish count them, two sweaters as Christmas gifts. Granted, they were for a 1 and a 4-year-old. One of my friends, 2 kids, got their little Christmas sweaters, so they have matching Christmas sweaters in October. Okay, I'm about to run some errands, and in the process I'm going to drop off some sweaters for Christmas presents because they are done. I wanted to get them done early so that they could get a little bit of extra use out of them. They are both done in this black is Karen Simply Soft. The white is, I think it might be Karen Simply Soft, but it was just kind of like a white that matched the thickness and texture of the black because I have a ton of black Karen Simply Soft in my stash that I'm trying to get rid of. The weather is about to get a little, like we're about to have a drop in temperature, so thought that little black sweaters before Halloween would be kind of cute. Here is like a good look at the design. It's pretty geometric. I didn't want to go for anything that's like hearts or stars or something like that the kids would grow out of. Yeah, so hopefully they can get a little bit extra use out of it for this year and next. I will try to link down to the pattern and the Etsy store that I got it down below in the comments. I was relatively satisfied with the pattern, but I think that I didn't like the way that it told you to make one. I switched it from the make one where you need to lift up a bar and knit into it because I found that that was a little bit gappy. I just did the knit front and back to make one. So after those 2 sweaters, I did manage to knock out a bee. I crocheted a bee. This is not the exact bee because I already gave the bee to Patty, the owner of the gym that I go to / work at. Asked me to make her a bee maybe a year or so ago, and I finally got around to making it with crocheting little stuffies that can be a little bit harder on your wrists / hands because you want to make those stitches super tight so that the stuffing does not floof out. So that can just be a little bit harder on your hands, and I was just honestly, I was just a little bit more into the knitting than the crocheting for a while, so just following the dopamine with that. But I wanted to finally make Patty's bee. I made Patty's bee. I still have to make Sarah a mushroom. I still got like 3 weeks if I want to make the Christmas deadline, and that Christmas deadline for the mushroom is a completely self-imposed one. But yeah, I just gave myself a deadline, finally made the bee, and the only crochet stuffy that I have left to do on my self-imposed deadline is the mushroom. I think this might just be the Michaels brand of blanket yarn. For Patty's bee, I used the Michaels brand of blanket yarn. For the wings, this is the Joann's brand of furry yarn, and I do not like it. I think like it has part of the core is kind of itchy. I do not like this furry stuff, but it is rather cute for the bee wings, I will say. Some more things on the to crochet for Christmas list are a bunch of soap savers, which me and Hubsend are going to be making soap as kind of like a handmade Christmas item, because we are both in camp that like a small consumable handmade thing is it's a cute little thoughtful Christmas present. So we're going to make soap that is honeysuckle scented. I don't know, just honeysuckle scented soap seemed like a cute little reminder of love and care from Arkansas, I guess. And one more thing for things that I have done for Christmas. Behold, this teeny tiny hat. This is the classic ribbed beanie by Pearl Soho, and I have actually made 3 of these. This is the only one that I have that was easily taken out of its wrapping. It's just the classic ribbed beanie with a little pom-pom on it. I made the classic ribbed beanie with a giant pom-pom on it, and the classic ribbed beanie with 2 pom-poms on the side, because Hubson's brother said that their baby is kind of like a little bit woodland animal themed, so I thought the 2 pom-poms would be like a little bit bare. Yeah, you are bare. A little bit more like a stuffed animal look. So highly recommend this pattern, free pattern by Pearl Soho. I can list that down below as well, because it is pretty much constantly pulled up on my phone now. Also for that baby, a quilt. Here is the quilt. You can see that I have added my signature I ran out of fabric patch, and also on this top row you can see the top row was the last row that I made, and it got a little bit wonky ways. Like this patch should be here, this patch should be here, to match the diagonal lining of the bright blue fabric. It is what it is, but yeah, I knocked this guy out in, I don't know, a single 24-hour period. So it is nice and crinkly cozy for the baby boy. And on the back there is Bunny Mummy holding a bunny baby fabric. I did buy a bunch of 4x4 pre-cuts for this and made, I think, an 11 by 11 square baby quilt with it, which meant that the back was, I don't know, maybe a little less than a yard. Then this navy I used to bind the edges. I have literally had this navy fabric in my stash since, like, I don't know, maybe high school. So I am gonna put this back in Demi's little nephew's Christmas bag. So that was one quilt, and I might have teased that my entire sewing time in November was quilts. Let's regroup back to that. So this is the first quilt that I started November 1st. It's a Halloween quilt. That, of course, I started a Halloween quilt November 1st. I finished this in a couple days. I cut 1 yard remnants into 2.5 high strips, sewed those together and made 3 block high zigzags. And I really like how this turned out. It was a very simple pattern to do. I highly recommend. But yeah, Erwin here is our little quilt connoisseur. He loves all things quilts. So as soon as I made this quilt, he just needed to cuddle up and cozy straight into it. So we have Erwin's approval, which means it's a good quilt. The second quilt was actually seasonally appropriate because I did make myself a little Christmas quilt. I just made a 9 block with 2 of these white fabrics, 2 of the black fabrics, and the middle was the green. So when I cut it, I had just this little patch of green, and I arranged it so that it has these like little window paney things, and I like that. This one, I did not actually put any batting in. I just backed it with this a very soft fleecy guy. It works as a lap blanket, but I like my blankets thick because I get cold very easily. Stash bustin' on that too. Stash bustin' all of the Christmas fabrics. Another thing that I stash busted with all kinds of cool colors, I made myself a quilted tree skirt. Here's my tree skirt. It is under the tree. I'm not going to untie it right now. The dinosaurs are from Target. But while I'm moving the camera, behold, my floor is currently covered in another quilt. I screwed up because this is like a king size quilt, and I thought that I was going to like I have that backing blanket right there. That is another thrifted blanket. I think that I got that for like $2 at Goodwill. Unpicked the seams, and I thought that it was a square blanket. It is not a square blanket. This quilt is like exactly as long as the blanket is. It is glue basted in place, but unfortunately it has, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 inches of overhang on each side. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that right now. I don't think that I'm going to add more backing to it. I think that I'm going to fold in that edge maybe an inch or so, I don't know, and then fold it in and tack that down in place and just kind of see what we can do from there. But I don't know how I'm going to get this sucker under my machine. This is just...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Ship the best.
I decided that I had way too much Christmas fabric and I was going to stash bust all my Christmas fabric, and boy howdy did I stash bust all my Christmas fabric with a king size quilt. But I don't know how I can physically quilt it at this point. But with that stash busting of Christmas fabric, I did have a lot of scrappy little bits left over, so I made another tree skirt. This is not going to be a tree skirt for me. I am going to give it to one of our friends. However, they said that they had a tiny tree, so I thought something like this size. No, their tiny tree is only like a foot tall. So the big king size quilt is once again 2.5 inch strips that got sewn together 3 high and then cut into blocks. These are kind of just like the odds and ends, like the scrap that came off of that. So very scrappy, kind of stash busty, but it is fully reversible. I did use the black from the first Christmas quilt, and this is just the other side. It's just red with that little black and wreathy binding. And another thing that I made for the sake of making and the sake of giving, but I do not have any actual plans to give these things yet, once again because we are giving people soap as our handmade gifts this year. I made hats. So a couple days ago I was having seizure symptoms and was not allowed to drive or do anything outside the house / away from somebody who knows seizure procedure. So I thought, hey, what is something that I can do because I still want to do stuff? And I thought I would just, you know, sit in front of the TV with my Centro knitting machine and make a bunch of hats. So these 2 hats, this one is, I think this is an acrylic wool blend, and this one is 100% wool. These 2 are made from Line brand Scarfy. This one is, I think, 140 rows on the medium tension for the Lion Brand Scarfie on the Centro knitting machine. This one was as much as I could get left from this ball of Scarfie because it is 150 grams instead of 100. So I just used the rest of the Lion Brand Scarfie for this guy and have a black yarn filling up the rest of the way. So it does still get a cute little fold. This one is a little bit more red showing, but technically this one is reversible. I just would need to take the pom-pom off, and these two are the same deal, just a different color of the Lion Brand Scarfie. This is, I think, 140 rounds of the Lion Brand Scarfie. This is as much rounds that I could get with the remainder of the Scarfie ball. This time, like a teal is lining it, and you might be able to see this one a little bit better. There is a little button there that the pom-pom is wrapped around because it's got one of those little elastic bands, so you can remove the pom-pom. I did not make this one yesterday. I made this a couple months back. You can remove the pom-pom to wash the hats. And that, my friends, is how I learned that if you knit 6 hats consecutively on the Centro knitting machine, then you can give yourself tennis elbow. And tennis elbow is why I am not allowed to do crafty things / knitting or crocheting today, and I have to take a break until maybe tomorrow. But question is, am I saving all these hats for next Christmas when I will not give myself tennis elbow by making 6 consecutive hats? Or am I doing something else with these? What are you guys doing for Christmas presents, and have you ever made tennis elbowy mistakes with crafting like I have? Well, like, just give me any and all kinds of feedback on this video. Leave any questions, comments, or concerns down below. New videos should be up on Fridays, but not every Friday. So feel free to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you know when I actually do post. Like always, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Ooh, I like the jiggle. You can come here. You can come here. Is this what you wanted?